Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Just a Catholic. Today, I'm here with my friend, mother-loving Christian. You want to introduce yourself?
Hey guys, yeah, I run a YouTube channel called Mother Loving Christian. We're excited to make something happen together. We've been planning this for a while.
Yeah. And we are going to be reacting to Wonka, Willy Wonka movie, the remake. When did this come out? Like a year ago? Two, maybe?
It's 20, I think late 23,
Late 23.
early
Yeah,
24.
so this movie, like, I was honestly excited to watch it whenever it had first came out. It seemed interesting. I think we even paid money to freaking rent it so that we could watch it on on Amazon Movies or whatever. And
Yeah,
I was watching through it, and then like at some point, the clergy gets introduced, and I think I had already known that there was like Catholic priests in there, but then it's like I saw the way that they were portraying it, and at that time I got mad. I was like, "No, I'm not watching this anymore." And I like straight up just like got up and left. I was like, I did not want to watch that movie anymore because it just made me mad. And I think it's been a little bit of a controversy the way that this movie has portrayed Catholicism. So we're just kind of interested in looking at the way that the movie portrays it and whether it is lighthearted and fun, or if we think it's actually like kind of bad and like maybe bigoted the way that they portray the Catholic Church. I don't know if you've had any thoughts on it. I know that you've watched this movie. We both watched this movie in anticipation of this. We just have like a clip we're gonna react to because copyright. I can't download, I can't pirate movies anymore, unfortunately. But I don't know if you have any like preliminary thoughts before we get into the clip.
yeah. So I watched it too. I noticed the same things of they're kind of leaning into the clergy looks creepy and mysterious kind of angle to it as an easy villain. I think there's some elements where you can actually make a devil's advocate case that it does a good representation, but I'll just have to see what you think about that after we check out the clip.
Yeah, that's interesting. You before we started, hold on, I'm having a little bit of focusing issues. Um, it had told me about that, and I was like, okay, that's kind of interesting. Your takes on that. Well, we'll see. Because it's like it really just like the movie kind of make shows just like caricatures of Catholicism, which is like
Yeah,
not intrinsically evil. It's not intrinsically bad. I think to do that, it can be a joke, but it's like I don't know that it's appropriate in this scenario. Like in Family Guy, it's like whatever, or like The Simpsons, where you see like Catholic heaven and it's like some Mexicans and then like Irish people. It's like okay, that's funny because it's like obviously a joke, but it's like in this movie, especially one on the silver screen, it's like I don't know how to feel about it, but because you can see it like even all the way into the like at the trailer you see like, and this is the very first introduction to the clergy. You see this priest, like this little girl walks up to them. It's like, can you spare any food or whatever? And he was like, no, sorry, my child, I don't have anything. And then he like pulls a chocolate out of his candy and eats it. It's like it's, already
yeah,
going into the caricature of like clerical like abuse in that, well, not so much abuse, but like they're just like greed
corruption.
and
Yeah.
selfishness, and it's like portraying him in a bad light. And then it gets into what we're about to look at. So I guess we can go ahead and get into it.
Good morning, brethren. Now, as you all know, it's Baron.
Okay, just so, like be, just watching that, like just that before we started this video, I was like, I kept being like, "Good morning, Father," and before like it was before he had like seen the clip, he just heard me singing that, and he like had no idea why
Yeah.
why I was doing that. But yeah, it is funny. I think it's a little bit funny the way that he walks in, and then all the monks just start talking in like unison, which is like really like why is there Franciscan monks in this like cathedral? That's sort of strange.
Yeah,
Like
do they just
what are they
wait
doing
in
there?
this cathedral for a diocesan priest to give them instructions for the day? Like, I don't think this is
Yeah, I
how
don't know.
the
Like
system is set
yeah,
up.
because the way he's dressed, I think he's like it's supposed to like give like cardinal vibes, but it's like why is this cardinal overseeing Franciscan monks? Because they usually have their what do you call it? the one that sort of oversees like any given like congregation of monks or nuns?
Um, would it be an abbot, or is that just at the
Yeah, an abbot. Yeah, I think it's an abbot.
abbey?
Like you have
Yeah.
abbeys, and then you have the abbots, like the leader of it. So I don't know. I guess the diocesan priest is their their abbot. So which is kind of funny. I mean, I don't know. I don't think it's like a big deal, but I just find it to be kind of funny. But anyway, we
And
can go
beautiful
on from there.
cathedral. Beautiful cathedral.
It is a beautiful cathedral, I will say. They did a good job with this.
Yeah, I
cathedral.
think it's and the problem with this kind of stuff is not. It's kind of like the video you did on infographic show. It's not that there can't be a corrupt clergyman or issues within the church or even people talking in unison, but it's when that's your depiction, it kind of has an element of scandal to it, where
Yeah.
it gives people a negative of the church.
Yeah, I guess I should have said that. I don't have any problem, like I said in that video, like I don't have any problem with like talking about that stuff or like even like joking about it in some cases. I think is like kind of fine.
Yeah.
Not necessarily like the abuse. I find that to just be annoying, but like
Yeah.
joking about like Catholicism seeming kind of mysterious and uh-oh. What's wrong with you?
Is that just a Catholic? Your second?
It is just a cat. It is
Just a
yeah,
cat.
I'm a cat. I'm a cat.
Yeah, just a Catholic and just a cat.
So anyway, I probably should have mentioned this. Yeah, like you were saying, it isn't like really a problem if you talk about this stuff or you make jokes about Catholicism, like just the sort of it being like kind of creepy maybe, you know, or like just make light of it if it's not done in like a malicious way. But it's like if what you're doing is you're representing Catholicism in this way without any qualification, like this just is what Catholicism is, even if you're not saying that explicitly, you have to like gauge whether what you're saying and then the context in which you're saying it is prudent or not. Because it's
Yeah,
like like for instance in The Simpsons where it's like it's comedy, you know, it's like yeah, it's kind of you get like obviously this is a joke what they're making about Catholicism, but it's like it's questionable whether you should do that in a movie like this one. I mean, and I think that it's being made clear here that this is supposed to be funny, but I don't know if it's funny like laughing with Catholicism or laughing at it. You know what I mean?
yeah, you want to make sure that you are not that any of that's off limits, but for example, if you're perpetuating long-held myths that the Catholic Church is an institution set up to cover for the chocolate industry, then we have some issues.
Yeah, you just got to be careful about it. But anyway, we can continue.
Michael Hammer's funeral today,
Why is it?
and his widow is a bit of a pious type. So I don't want to see anyone eating chocolate during the service. We all know that one day we should be judged for our sins, but it's not going to be today.
Do you know that? Are you sure?
So I don't know how I feel about that. Again, it's playing on the caricature, which seems to be a joke in this case, but it's like she's a bit of a pious type. Ugh, as if the monks aren't the pious type. Like if you're a monk, you are pious.
You took religious
Like-
vows, yeah.
You literally took vows of poverty, chastity, and obedience, and gave your life to a life of prayer. You gave up like everything to be a prayer, especially as a Franciscan. Those guys, they don't sleep on beds, bro. They sleep on like mats. You know?
Yes.
So it's like she's a bit of a pious type. Ugh. Is like kind of annoying. I think it's playing a little too hard on like the corruption theme in like my opinion.
Yeah, I think when you write something from a secular perspective, where it's just like I don't know what Catholicism is, but this like looks about right. Like before I was Catholic, I didn't really know what monks did. Like I thought about, I'm like, oh yeah, monks. But then if I was really pressed on it, oh wait, what do they do? So I feel like they're in that same thing as they never thought about it too much, other than they make a good aesthetic for the movie. Yeah, they're the
Yeah,
pious.
I think I agree. Yeah, they are the pious type, and I think that's one of the things that's a bit annoying about this is it's like I like seriously doubt that they even understand what these people are, what it is that they do. They're just like, oh yeah, those like guys with the funny robes, and they click like they choose like the most stereotypical one and put them on a diocesan parish, for Franciscans, and then just kind of do whatever with the characters that they want without like actually understanding what they are. And I find that to be kind of annoying. And then like that comment, oh, one day we'll be judged, we all know, but it won't be today. Amen. Like, okay, theologically that's a problem because it's like because one of the fundamental tenets of the faith is like, or maybe not tenet, but one of the fundamental things is like to always be ready, and like especially with Catholics to try to be in a state of grace, to like try to be like doing what's right. Like you can't be presumptuously doing sin, which is what they're doing. Um like we're not going to worry about it today. It just shows like a lack of care, I think, and I think it's playing, in my opinion, onto stereotypes about Catholicism that like, for instance, evangelicals have. I think for the most part, it comes from like evangelical circles. Not no, though not all of them have this idea of Catholicism. I think it's playing a little too hard on them in a way which is just kind of like, I don't know, unwelcome in my opinion.
Yeah, no, I
I don't
agree.
know how you feel about it so far.
Yeah,
You
I
think
think
that was funny, or you think it was too much?
I think, see, for me, at least from the inside, I can laugh. But I could see how it could be scandalous to people that already have stereotypes or have no knowledge or opinion either way of the church. Is it
Yeah,
comes
yeah.
across, it can feed into that. Like we were saying with the infographics video or other things that show negative things in a Catholic context, is like people like you and I, we can watch that kind of stuff and be able to go, okay, maybe I've learned some things, because there can be corruption everywhere. There can be people that are doing wrong and being hypocrites everywhere. But when the common denominator in media is that it's always Christianity and always the Catholic Church, then it feeds into that stereotype that can cause scandal for people not to take the faith seriously.
Yeah, yeah, I think that's well put. But anyway, I think we can continue.
Nice.
I just noticed his
giraffe.
buttons are purple.
Run!
Huh.
Everybody out! Save yourself!
It's like the wrong color for a cardinal, but okay.
Judgment has come!
Well, I think he's
So,
just a priest, so it must be during a penitential season. He did not choose.
but do they dress like that though?
To deserve this?
I feel like I've never. I mean, it's whatever.
You've sold your soul for 30 pieces of chocolate.
Oh, forgive me! I'm a sinner, a weak and
Forgive
wicked
me.
chocoholic!
I'm glad that he can admit it. Or well, hold on. I guess that's the end of it. Oh, yep, it's just the people. Yeah. I guess that's valid though. I'm a sinner, a weak chocoholic. I
Yeah,
think
I
that that's
got
valid. We can
I
all
sold
admit
my
that we're
soul for
sinners.
30 pieces of. Sorry, go ahead.
Wait, that's what he said. I sold my soul for 30 pieces of what?
30 pieces. He said, I sold my soul for 30 pieces of chocolate.
Oh yeah.
So is it kind of a Judas
Yeah.
reference there? So I think.
Oh, I didn't even notice that. I mean,
Yeah.
that's actually kind of clever. I'll give that to them. That's kind of clever.
Yeah. So here's my devil's advocate theory for why
Okay.
maybe it's kind of based. So, in that clip, it was perfect. He was saying, like, he's very presumptuous. He's like, we're going to be judged for our sins, but not today. And he was wrong about that. So then, when things go wrong, he realizes, oh, this is what I've done, and he calls out to God and says, God, forgive me, I'm a sinner, I'm a chocoholic. So you see that sin darkens the intellect. So he's fed into his addiction to chocolate to the point where it's led to more and more errors and scandals and sin that just compounds. And then he's leading other people into sin. And then he's neglecting his duties because of his vice of gluttony. And so then you see that come together of when that finally falls apart, he realizes what he's done and he repents. One of the scenes that we might be able to find this and pull this up, but the confessional in the movie is actually like a secret portal to a underground lair. And so you see people aren't going to confession, they're not repenting, and they're instead feeding into their base desires, and that leads to compounding effects of sin. And at first it feels good. It's like, okay, I'm getting the chocolate I want and I can kind of be cheeky about my religious duty. But then as things go on, you start to see the consequences of that, and you got to decide where you're going to stand. So I think it's actually kind of provides a very theologically sound view of the issues it's portraying. I don't know. What do you think of that?
Dude, now that you actually like say it, yeah. I think
Right?
it actually does like portray sort of a very Catholic view of how it works. Like sin does darken the intellect. Like he does this, and then they had the presumptuousness of like, we're not going to get judged today, but then they face the consequences of it. They do get judged today by a giant giraffe, and then he repents. He acknowledges his sin. Um, I think that that's actually very Catholic. Uh,
Yeah. So
the way that it's
it's
being portrayed, it's like you fall into sin, and then you like you become presumptuous, and then you face the consequences of it, and then like obviously not the eternal consequences. Those are just some temporal consequences of him getting a giraffe, stealing his stuff. But then you realize that and come back to God. It sort of like shows the consequences of sin. So I think on a meta level, that's actually kind of based, though. So that's actually a very astute reflection that you had there. I didn't think of
although I
that.
would say he seemed contrite, but when it was convenient for him, I think he does need to have a little more solid basis for his faith. Maybe
Hmm.
explore that a little more, and maybe talk to some of the other monks and get some good spiritual guidance in there.
Yeah, they need to get something better, something going on there. But at least they had the first steps of it. That's actually I really like the way that you put it. And just to be like completely real, I don't think that they intended for that sort of like portrayal that you described.
No,
Um, Certainly not, but I think it's kind of funny how it sort of came together on its own, um, in an interesting way. Although I mean, I don't want to give them too little credit because they did come up with the like Judas 30 pieces of chocolate type thing. It's kind of interesting. Although unlike Judas, this supposed priest, Mr. Bean, he repented, unlike Judas.
yeah,
Uh,
exactly. So
so maybe
he,
maybe it shows that there's a path, there's a way for the
yeah,
redemption of the clerical abuses, the clerical problems. There's a path of
yeah,
repentance.
exactly. Well, I mean, C.S. Lewis said, I guess he's paraphrasing St. Paul, but man has eternity written on his heart. So you'll see even secular writers, they unconsciously they just write what makes sense to the story, but what really makes sense is Catholicism.
Yes, that's true. I think that it that demonstrated itself. That's actually really beautiful. I like that.
Yeah, exactly. The truths of the church will shine through wherever you find them in.
Yeah.
Sweet.
Yeah, so I guess in conclusion, they wanted to make a little fun of the Catholic Church. It's up to you whether you as the viewer, whether you think that it was imprudent or if it was bad or you didn't like it. When I first watched it, I definitely didn't like it. Now I'm like, well, it might scandalize some people, but as a Catholic watching it, I'm not, I'm not too scandalized by it. I think it's a little funny. It actually has some interesting meta commentary to it. But I guess it's up to you whether you think that it was bad or not. But it was at the very least fun to react to.
Yeah, I find myself, as my wife and I are watching shows, my tolerance for finding something, if I get the idea that the premise of the movie or the show is, hey, we hate you, then I'm going to turn that off. But I do have a good way of reading into things too much to make it fit my narratives. I
Yeah.
can skate by and watch Wonka one more time.
Okay. Well, there you go. And that's actually an interesting thing. Speaking of reading into things too much, Mother Loving Christian is going to have a companion video to this one where we will be doing just that. We'll be reading too much into the original Willy Wonka movie. So please check that out. Subscribe to him. Check out his videos. He does a great job. He could definitely use your support. And if you haven't subscribed to me already, please subscribe. Check out some of my other videos. And thank you so much for watching. Bye.
Bye.